So when you said that it might be him and not you, I'm sensing some anger, but at the moment it kind of seems like it's righteous anger, at least in the moment. So talk to me a little bit about those feelings that are coming up right now.
I guess I'm frustrated. Like, I'm frustrated every time he tells me that my housekeeping is not good enough or my kids don't want to come over. But I'm feeling like I'm doing everything I can to keep the house and to be the wife I'm supposed to be and to be a good mom. So I feel like I'm doing my part. But I don't know. It's just, it makes me a little crazy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I feel like we've done a good job kind of trying to dispute those beliefs that you kind of feel like are pressed on you because of the interactions between you and your husband. What I do want to focus on is I don't want it to go from one end of the spectrum of kind of being very silent and isolated and just kind of letting his words wash over you to the point where it's a lot of anger. So I want to kind of keep a balance of that so that we can make progress and not stay stuck just now at the other end of the spectrum. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying I agree or disagree with your feelings, but what I want to do is I want to be able to kind of help you replace those old beliefs so that regardless of what is being said to you, you have something to lean back on that's more solid and more grounded in truth as opposed to grounded in negative emotions of anger, frustration, whatever it might be that is coming from him. So we talked about what your previous beliefs were. So just remind me again of what that looks like for you, of those negative beliefs that comes from those interactions with your husband.
Well, I guess it would be the guilt and the shame and feeling isolated when he doesn't want to talk. Mm-hmm. And we can't fix this if he doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the big three that I'm dealing with.
Okay, so I hear those emotions. I want to figure out, because we did talk about this, I want to figure out what the beliefs are that you're kind of telling yourself, the things that then you're believing because of the interactions that you've had with him.
That I'm not good enough.
Okay.
That I know there's always room for improvement, but I just feel like so low when he says that kind of stuff, and then it makes me believe that, the kids don't think I'm a good mom. It's just it's hard because it just makes me really depressed.
Okay.
A lot.
All right. So that's the irrational beliefs that we talked about, that are very much fueled by his emotions and then your kind of consequential emotions. So, and we did a lot of talking, we did a lot of disputing of those irrational beliefs, and we did find new and more effective ways of thinking. So when I saw that little bit of anger and frustration come out, so what are some things that you can say that are kind of speaking against the things that he makes you feel and believe?
I guess the big one is I am good enough. My kids aren't saying these things. Mm-hmm. I guess I can't speak to the wife thing because that's his thought. Mm-hmm. But I am a good enough mom, and I really am a good enough housekeeper. Mm-hmm. I mean, my house isn't dirty. Mm-hmm. It might be cluttered, but it's not dirty. Mm-hmm. So I guess, I can always fall back on that. And even if it's cluttered, that's not hurting anybody. I mean, it's not like everything's out for people to trip over. Mm-hmm. So it's not harming anyone. It's not hurtful. I guess that's the biggest thing, is I am good enough. Mm-hmm. I am.
Okay. And to me, that sounds like a really big step. So what I want to go over now is kind of thinking when a scenario like that comes up again, an interaction between you and your husband like that again, what are some negative emotions that you might feel, but that aren't self-deprecating? You know what I mean? Something that it's okay for you to feel, something that's a negative emotion, whether it's some minor frustration, annoyance, disappointment, anything like that, that you can feel in that situation that isn't pointed back at you.
I think all the things I'm going to feel are going to be directed to him because I am going to have that annoyance. And I am going to be, I don't know if I want to use the word depressed but I'm going to be a little upset that he is treating me this way.
Mhm.
And it's not my fault.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I can to keep the household running. Maybe if he would pitch in a little bit, it would be better. So there's going to be that frustration.
Mhm.
Is that, when I come home from a long day at work and I have to be picking things up and he's sitting on the sofa.
Mhm.
That's annoying. So I'm going to definitely have that.
So what I'm hearing from you is definitely some new negative emotions that you can allow yourself to feel that aren't going to make the situation any worse. And then I also heard from you before we even got to that step was new behaviors that you can have. And you mentioned saying, like, maybe having him realize that there's something he can do. It doesn't just all have to be you. And to me, that sounds like a really good transition from where we started at the beginning of the session to now here we are at the end of saying it usually is just a monologue. Him saying whatever he thinks and feels. And now the emotions that you're feeling that are justified, the annoyance, the upset feelings, the frustration, that's all completely valid when kept in check. So that's all completely valid. And then being able to use that. So instead of being an angry monologue, it's starting to be, even though maybe not a happy dialogue, at least it's communication between the two of you and not just one-sided. So I think for this week, we covered a lot. And I think at least until next time we meet, which is next week at the same time, I think that gives you a really good place to start and work off of. And my hope is that a situation like that doesn't come up in just 1 week before I see you again. But if it does, I feel like there's tools that you have now. And I think that we got pretty far today. So are there any last questions that you have for me?
No, I think I'm tired of being spoken to like that, and I think if he says something, I'm going to stick up for myself. I'm going to. It's not right how he talks to me.
Okay.
And if this is supposed to be a partnership, then he should start pulling his weight around. So
Absolutely.
I think I will make an effort to move in that direction.
All right. Good. I'm glad. All right. So I'll see you next week at the
Okay.
same time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.